Strange self-combustion occurred in both cities. The possibility that the case was due to human manipulation had been minimized. Qinghe City was nearly 300 kilometers away from the Silver Prefecture city. It was such a long journey, and it wasn't as if they had self-combusted at the same time. Brother Tiger, his mother, and the man who cheated, there was almost no obvious connection between the three of them. Yet, they had self-combusted, especially Brother Tiger's mother who had only combusted after death. There must be a reason for this. Once he figured out the connection, it wouldn't be a problem to find out the terrifying danger behind it. It wasn't that Su Jingxing was idle and dead set on getting to the bottom of this. The reason why Su Jingxing wanted to figure this out was firstly, this incident had affected him as well. His intuition told him that the terrifying danger would come to him sooner or later. If he didn't make clear what it was before that, he wouldn't be able to escape the fate of self-combustion and turning into ashes. Secondly, there was a subconscious voice urging him to find out the reason. He had encountered this strange sense of urgency before. The soul oath. He had also sensed the promise he had made to Lu Chenglong to protect the nation for 10 years this time. What did this mean? The implications of the self-combustion case was extremely wide. If it was not figured out in time for the source to be cut off, thousands or even tens of thousands of people would die. The three people who had self-combusted were only the beginning. It remained unknown how many people would die in the future. Therefore, whether it was for the nation or his personal benefits, Su Jingxing had to find out what was going on. The problem was that there were too few clues in this case, other than anger and rage. This was the only thing the three people who self-combusted had in common. Brother Tiger's ashes had already been taken away for testing by the Martial Suppression Office. What was the result? Su Jingxing worked on his computer and hacked into the Martial Suppression Office's internal system. However, he didn't find any records. It was either the test was not done yet, or the Martial Suppression Office would not upload such cases onto the internal network and would only keep paper documents. Su Jingxing was leaning towards the second possibility. If he wanted to check the test results, he had to personally make a trip to the Martial Suppression Office. Well, there was no need for him to go personally. The blood doppelganger could go on his behalf. The blood doppelganger that had shrank into a ball immediately rushed to the Martial Suppression Office's Western District branch under the control of his will. Su Jingxing didn't give up on online intelligence either. He wrote a small software and hacked into the forums and communities of the various prefectures in Unation. Any posts containing keywords such as self-combustion, human self-combustion, rage self-combustion, anger self-combustion, and so on were automatically captured and sent to Su Jingxing's computer. Su Jingxing then connected it to his phone so that he could check on them at any time. This method was not entirely accurate. After all, not everyone liked to expose information online. If the Martial Suppression Office had been the first to discover the case and sealed off information, it would not have appeared online. Su Jingxing just wanted to try his luck. He would take whatever he could find. It was better than having nothing at all. After the blood doppelganger arrived at the Martial Suppression Office's Western District branch, it hid in a corner and avoided the surveillance cameras before heading straight to the laboratory department. It was late at night, but the place was still brightly lit. There were many people around. The blood doppelganger hid outside the window and pressed against the wall, waiting for an opportunity. Half an hour later, it finally caught what Su Jingxing wanted to hear. How is it? Is there anything abnormal? Qi Zhaoqin's voice. No. We tested 3 times, but we didn't find anything abnormal. It's no different from ordinary ashes. Impossible. There's definitely something wrong with this. It's impossible for there to be nothing abnormal. Team Leader Lu, if you don't believe me, you can get someone else to examine it and see if I'm lying to you. What do you? Old Lu, shut up. Qi Zhaoqin's voice sounded again. Since Wang Ke's 3 tests showed no anomalies, it means that there's nothing wrong with the ashes. The source is something else. Commissioner Chi, if you can get a living corpse, perhaps you'll be able to find the key factor. Hey, let's not even talk about how corpses have to be cremated as quickly as possible. Even if there were living corpses, do you think they could be preserved? This mother and son were burned to ashes in less than 10 seconds. Then there's nothing we can do. It's fine. Qi Zhaoqin's voice was very calm. If there's a chance, I'll try to preserve some human tissue. That'll be difficult. How are you going to preserve human tissue if they burn into ashes in less than 10 seconds? In my opinion, this is probably due to human manipulation. Someone is testing the power of a new secret ability. Human manipulation. Then how do you explain 6 cases of self-combustion in 4 places, the Silver Prefecture City, Dashun Prefecture's Cold City, Treasure Elephant City, and Qinghe City? Who can commit crimes in 3 prefectures at the same time? Qi Zhaoqin countered. This. It might be someone from the same organization. For example, Ghost Ride. That's right, it's most possible that it's Ghost Ride. The members of this ancient organization never do anything proper and love to cause trouble. This might also be a conspiracy created by them. The more old Lu went on, the more excited he became. I've already thought of the reason. To take revenge for their failure of the Green Cloud Mountain Range plan. Although I don't know what happened in the Green Cloud Mountain Range, I know that one of Ghost Ride's schemes failed and many people died. I heard that there was a first-grade martial artist among them. A first-grade martial artist. For any faction, people in this realm are in the minority, and they are the upper echelons of the upper echelons. He died in the Green Cloud Mountain Range just like that. If I were the leader of Ghost Ride, I will definitely come back for revenge. According to your logical analysis, it's really possible this is Ghost Ride's doing, Qi Zhaoqin said hesitantly. Hahaha, it's definitely Ghost Ride. When old Lu heard that, he smiled very happily. We'll crack this case once we find Ghost Ride's members. With the 3 prefectures taking action at the same time. I don't believe we won't find them. Alright, go ahead and report it like that. Qi Zhaoqin's voice regained its calm. Huh. I'll report it. As the 2 of them left, Su Jingxing's blood doppelganger didn't hear anything else. Even so, he had gotten enough information from their conversation. Firstly, there was no problem with Brother Tiger's ashes. The test results were the same as ordinary ashes. Secondly, there weren't 3, but 6 people who had died from self-combustion today. Qinghe City, Treasure Elephant City, Dashun Prefecture's Cold City, Silver Prefecture City. 4 cities, 3 neighboring prefectures. There was only 1 case exposed online, but there were 6 actual cases, and the 3 others had been concealed. The Martial Suppression Office suspected that it was Ghost Ride's doing. Su Jingxing didn't think so. Ghost Ride never did anything meaningless. They wreaked havoc for profit. If there weren't any benefits, Ghost Ride would not do it. To have 6 people self-combust and die, 3 of whom Su Jingxing knew were ordinary people. What were they after? Just to cause panic among the 3 prefectures. In Su Jingxing's opinion, there was no need for that. If it was really to create chaos and make the public panic, it would be better to just toss bombs. And intuitively, Su Jingxing was more willing to believe that this was not due to human manipulation. Since it's not due to human manipulation, it's a natural disaster. But what kind of natural disaster is self-combustion? Floods, droughts, typhoons, earthquakes, and so on are natural disasters. What kind of natural disaster is self-combustion? What a headache. His train of thought was jammed again. Su Jingxing was having a headache. Things were especially complicated. Fortunately, Su Jingxing wasn't fighting alone. Strange self-combustion occurred in the 3 prefectures at the same time. This case was no longer a matter for 1 city. For now, it was probably still 4 cities searching one another. When a few more people were incinerated, the three prefectures' administration would get involved for a joint investigation. With this in mind, Su Jingxing controlled his blood doppelganger and headed to the Martial Suppression Office's headquarters building in the central district of Qinghe City. Vili. The Western District branch could not continue the investigation. The matter was reported to the headquarters, and Li Linzhou, or even Buqing, would be personally responsible for it. Of course, the prerequisite was that the Universal Envoy, Buqing, was still in Qinghe City. Previously, Buqing had gotten injured. He might have stayed in Qinghe City to recuperate, or he might have returned to the capital. Without any clues, Su Jingxing could only wait passively. The next day, Su Jingxing woke up early in the morning and went to the crematorium's canteen for breakfast. While at it, he also chatted with Gu Bo, Kong Debao, and the others. Everyone was very concerned about the strange self-combustion that took place in the crematorium. Although they had been consoled, everyone had a gossipy mind. Even if they did not discuss it openly, they would still talk in private. Su Jingxing could almost be considered middle management now, so Kong Debao and the others wanted to get some information out of him. In the end, they were naturally fooled by Su Jingxing. There was no benefit in knowing more about such matters for Kong Debao and the rest. Other than feeling increasingly fearful, what else would they gain? Nothing. After the meal, he went into the working area and patrolled around as usual. Su Jingxing activated his secret ability and heard everyone whispering, including a few managers. Clearly, everyone was curious about the outcome. After Wu Shuhan came to work, the managers even secretly went to his office to inquire, but were naturally chased out. But soon after, Su Jingxing was called to his office. "What's wrong, Uncle Wu?" Su Jingxing asked as he walked into the office. Wu Shuhan did not answer immediately. Instead, he got up and closed the office door. Then, he let out a breath and asked nervously and hesitantly, "Little Su, did you feel any discomfort after Xing Luanhu self-combusted yesterday?" Thump. Su Jingxing's heart skipped a beat. Without changing his countenance, he asked confusedly, "Discomfort?" "Yes. Just feeling flustered, anxious, fearful, and so on." Wu Shuhan sighed. "I won't hide it from you, little Su. Yesterday, after I left the Martial Suppression Office and returned home, I felt inexplicably flustered. When I went to bed at night, I suddenly woke up." "You had a nightmare?" Su Jingxing interrupted. "Yes." Fear appeared in Wu Shuhan's eyes, and his voice trembled. I dreamed of myself. Like Xing Luanhu, I suddenly self-combusted and was burned to death." Su Jingxing kept quiet. Xing Luanhu was Brother Tiger, 1. When this fellow self-destructed, Wu Shuhan was also very close to him. Although Su Jingxing had pushed everyone away, the distance was limited. How could he push everyone far away so quickly? Therefore, Su Jingxing and Wu Shuhan ended up standing closer. At that time, Su Jingxing had sensed a terrifying danger surrounding himself. When Wu Shuhan went home, he was also inexplicably flustered. He even had a nightmare of himself self-combusting last night. Su Jingxing would never believe that this was a coincidence. Of course, the truth was currently unknown, and Su Jingxing couldn't explain it directly. After some thought, he comforted, "Uncle Wu, dreams are the opposite of reality. You probably had a nightmare last night because you were frightened during the day. The saying what you think about in the day, you dream about at night is referring to your situation. Take me for example. I slept through the night. In fact, Su Jingxing didn't sleep at all last night." Sigh, Wu Shuhan covered his face with his hands and scratched hard a few times. He sighed and said, "Looks like I was really shocked and thought too much. I was also shocked yesterday." Su Jingxing smiled. Who would have thought that, what who fellow? That he would suddenly self-combust and turn into ashes in less than 10 seconds. Anyone would be shocked by that. Fortunately, I've seen so many corpses previously. In all kinds of terrible states, such as charred ones, dried ones, and dismembered ones. I've seen many of them that I've already developed my guts. Now, anytime I encounter any corpses or emergencies, I can get used to it quickly. I was shocked by what happened yesterday, but when I got home, I took a shower and slept. This morning, I was fine. With that, Su Jingxing shrugged. Ha ha ha, Wu Shuhan laughed heartily. You've really trained yourself, kid. The job of moving corpses is indeed the best way to build up one's guts. When you encounter trouble after seeing so many corpses, there's indeed nothing to be afraid of. Alright, your words of consolation make perfect sense. I'll make arrangements for myself. I'll go move corpses for a day today. That's the way. Su Jingxing gave him a thumbs up, his face full of smiles. It wasn't that he was deliberately tricking Wu Shuhan into moving corpses. As a matter of fact, as long as there was work to do and he did not let his imagination run wild, he would not panic or fear. It would be difficult to panic now since his attention had been diverted. As for having nightmares, about self-combusting and being burnt to death, Su Jingxing decided to give it a try. He wanted to see if he would also dream of self-combusting and burning himself to death after falling asleep. At this thought, Su Jingxing left the office with Wu Shuhan. Wu Shuhan went to the corpse collection team. Su Jingxing went to his office and hypnotized himself to sleep. Unexpectedly, just as he arrived at his office, before he even sat down, he heard a scream, followed by a commotion and more screams. With advanced hearing, he learned that the voices were coming from the farewell ceremony hall. The hall suddenly became chaotic. All kinds of voices were in a mess. Su Jingxing froze when he heard two words. Self-combustion. Someone self-combusted again. In the farewell ceremony hall at that. Swish. When he came to his senses, Su Jingxing couldn't be bothered to try sleeping anymore. He immediately turned around and rushed out of the office to the farewell ceremony hall. He sprinted at the speed of an ordinary 8th grade martial artist. When he arrived at the hall and squeezed through the crowd, he saw a few security guards, the managers, and Wu Shuhan, who had arrived earlier. They looked at the pile of ashes on the ground with grim and fearful expressions. Uncle Wu, what's going on? Su Jingxing walked over and asked softly. She self-combusted too. Wu Shuhan's voice was trembling. He pointed at the ashes on the ground and said, this relative had been crying earlier, but as she cried, she suddenly started burning. Crying. Not rage and anger. Startled, Su Jingxing turned to look at the others around. You were all witnesses. You saw her crying and burning up. No one responded. The family members in the farewell ceremony hall were all terrified and pale. Instead, a security guard said in a trembling voice, I saw. She was indeed crying, and she was crying very sadly. In the end. He did not continue. But the meaning was clear. The woman who self-combusted did indeed burn while crying. And the cause of this was not rage, but extreme grief. 1. Gu means tiger. Anger caused self-combustion, and so would grief. What did this mean? It showed that the cause of the self-combustion came from a person's fluctuations of emotions. Once the fluctuations were too intense, self-combustion determinants would be activated. Self-combustion determinants were the source, a barrel of oil, and pleasure, anger, sorrow, and joy were the matchsticks. If the matchsticks were not lit, the oil would not burn. With this inference, the problem returned to square one. What was the self-combustion determinant? Where did it come from? How did it come about? When did it enter the human body? How did it enter the human body? Did everyone have it, or did only a few people have it? There wasn't an answer to any of the questions. And without knowing the answers, the self-combustions wouldn't stop. the matter would only get worse. And that was indeed the case. While waiting for the Martial Suppression Office's people to arrive at the crematorium, Su Jingxing's phone in his pocket began to vibrate non-stop. Every vibration meant that the small software Su Jingxing had implanted in the forums and communities of each prefecture had captured a post related to the word self-combustion. Although not all of them were self-combustion cases, most of them were. After Qi Zhaoqun led his men into the farewell ceremony hall and took charge of the scene, Su Jingxing found an excuse to leave and return to his small courtyard at the foot of the mountain. He switched on his computer and added keywords into the hacking software. Laughter, joy, grief, sorrow, and so on. Then, he hacked again to extract information. This time, the vibrations increased over time. At night, Su Jingxing took out his phone and saw that there were 32 cases of self-combustion. Within a day, 32 more cases were added. These people were either in extreme grief, feeling overly excited, or overly angry. Every one of their emotions fluctuated violently. In front of others, they suddenly burst into flames and were reduced to ashes in less than 10 seconds. Then, the incidents were exposed on the internet. In the world of the internet, it was very convenient to communicate among the prefectures. It was not like they were overseas where there were firewalls set up. The Baiyin and Dashun prefectures could quickly find out about the major incidents that had erupted on the Chanyang prefecture's network. On the other hand, the Chanyang prefecture would also know about what happened in the Baiyin and Dashun prefectures. In that case, the three prefectures. No, the 32 new self-combustion cases were not limited to the three prefectures Baiyin, Chanyang, and Dashun. It also involved people from the northernmost Qianyan prefecture. In other words, there were 32 cases of self-combustion in the four prefectures in a day. This was already a major case, and it had alarmed the entire nation. Qianyan, Baiyin, Chanyang, and Dashun. Other than Chanyang, who is close to the center, the other three prefectures are all in the north. Why are there people self-combusting in these places all of a sudden? Who knows? 32 self-combustion cases in a day. This is serious. There must be something wrong. There were already self-combustion cases yesterday, but there were very few of them. I didn't expect there to be so many cases today. I'm just curious. Why are these self-combusting people so agitated before they burn? They were either raging or extremely sad. Yes, I did some calculations. The only thing these self-combusting people have in common is that their emotions were too intense. This might be the breakthrough point. Doesn't that mean that if we don't want to self-combust, we better keep calm? That might be for the best. Of course, no one knows the real reason for the self-combustion. Or does the Martial Suppression Office know? My older brother is from the Martial Suppression Office. I eavesdropped, the Martial Suppression Office doesn't know the reason either. In short, this matter is serious. To be safe, it's best if everyone doesn't get too agitated these few days. Discussions broke out. There was a commotion on the internet and it caused a small-scale panic. However, it was still within control. With the Martial Suppression Office and the government's guidance, the situation could temporarily be stabilized. When 30-odd people were scattered in 4 prefectures and 10-odd cities, that left only 1 or 2 people in each city. Therefore, although the public was a little frightened, it did not affect their normal lives. Those who worked continued to work, and those who were schooling continued to attend school. But in reality, 65 cases. In the 4 prefectures, there are 65 self-combustion cases. Chanyang Prefecture alone has 17 cases. Have you guys found the reason? That night, in the headquarters building of the Martial Suppression Office, Su Jingxing heard the voice of the Chanyang Prefecture's prefecture chief coming from the speakers through his blood doppelganger. This was a high-level video conference. Qinghe City, Treasure Elephant City, Chanyang Prefecture City. The city guard, commander of city governance of the Martial Suppression Office, and relevant personnel of every city with self-combustion cases were present to discuss countermeasures online. When Su Jingxing caught the total of 65 cases through his blood doppelganger, though he already had his guesses, he was still shocked. Only 32 cases were exposed online. He thought that 2/3 of them were exposed, while only 1/3 were not. Unexpectedly, only half had been exposed. There were 65 people who had self-combusted and died today. Compared to yesterday, the number had been multiplied by 10. The spreading rate was climbing too fast. At this rate, how many cases would there be tomorrow? And the day after tomorrow? Su Jingxing couldn't imagine it. Neither could the Changyang Prefecture's prefecture chief, the various city guards and commanders of city governance who had participated in the video conference. The prefecture chief's expression was most grim as he subconsciously raised his voice. "I'm asking you guys a question. Are you all mute? Aren't all of you usually better at talking than the other? Why are you so lifeless today? There are 65 cases today, will there be 100 tomorrow? If you still can't find the reason, I'll fire all of you first before I'm removed from my post." The city guards were speechless. All the commanders of city governance were equally speechless. The Martial Suppression Office was not under administration of the prefectures and only took orders from the headquarters in the capital. Their highest-ranking leader was the head supervisor. However, since they were in charge of various cities, the Martial Suppression Office's commanders of city governance naturally had to cooperate with the city guards. This was stipulated by the cabinet. The city guards could not dispatch the commanders of city governance, but if anything happened to the city guards, the commanders would still have to bear the responsibility. The two forces supported each other and also restrained each other. Therefore, when the prefecture chief scolded the city guards, commanders also indirectly took some of it. Through the blood doppelganger, Su Jingxing could not see the expressions of Li Linzhou and the others. However, he knew that their expressions must be complicated. Find the source of the self-combustion. While it sounded nice, it would be extraordinarily difficult to take action. In any case, no one had discovered anything. It was because once the people began burning, they would be reduced to ashes in less than 10 seconds. It all happened too quickly. So quickly that no one could react or stop it. Without corpses to study, how could they find the source? This was a dead end to begin with. Without a start, how could investigations be launched? Silence. Only silence. Everyone fell silent after the prefecture chief ended his scolding. Just as Su Jingxing thought that the video conference was over, the prefecture chief spoke again. His voice came through the speakers. "If you can't find the reason, lower the self-combustion rate. The analysis online is very accurate. The people who have died of self-combustion died because their emotions were too agitated. Regardless of the truth, while we have not found the reason, keeping people calm is the best solution for now. After the meeting is over, immediately pass down orders to use all channels to keep the people from making a big fuss over the next few days. It's best if everyone can keep calm. Alright, the meeting is over. Dismissed." The video conference ended. After a moment of silence, Li Linzhou and the Qinghe city guard continued to video call each other to discuss how to carry out the publicity. The impact of this incident was too great. Li Linzhou was also going to appear on television. In the past, Li Linzhou rarely appeared on television, but this time, he had no choice but to do so. As the #1 expert in Qinghe City, Li Linzhou's words carried more weight and faith than the city guard. Through his blood doppelganger, Su Jingxing continued to listen for a moment. Seeing that there was no other news, he immediately moved silently to another corner to prevent Li Linzhou from noticing. The prefecture chief had given orders to appease the various cities. This matter was inevitable. Su Jingxing's main body was at home. He switched on the television and waited for an hour or so. As expected, he saw Li Linzhou appear on the television for a live broadcast. The broadcast was also available simultaneously online. Similar activities were going on in other cities, the Qianyan Prefecture, the Dashun Prefecture, and the Baiyin Prefecture. The officials personally appeared to get everyone to keep calm. Early the next morning, the television stations, the internet, radio broadcasts, newspapers, and other channels continued the publicity. When the residents in the cities saw this, they reacted differently. The residents of the functional towns reacted much more simply. The fewer people there were, the fewer conflicts there would be, and naturally, there would be fewer incidents. It was different in the city. Every city in Unation had a population of about 10 million people. The larger ones, the 18 prefecture cities, had between 8 to 15 million people. The capital was an exception, it had a population of more than 20 million people. With more people, there would naturally be more conflicts and more trouble. As such, even though the government was publicizing and appealing, conflict still erupted from time to time. In the end, after a day, there were more than 300 self-combustion cases in the 4 prefectures. This number was only those exposed on the internet. In reality, there were more than 600 cases. The number of cases had multiplied by 10 again. The situation immediately caused panic. In the cities that were exposed, the residents were all in a state of panic, paranoia, afraid that their emotions would become agitated and they would strangely self-combust. The crematorium's farewell ceremony hall also became silent at once. Farewell ceremonies were stopped. Those who died from illness, accidents, or jumped off buildings were sent straight to the incinerator. Logically speaking, once things calmed down, the frequency of conflict would decrease. It was difficult for one's emotions to become intense when they were stable. However, for some reason, the invisible danger that Jingxing sensed grew stronger and stronger. The unknown threat was getting closer and more prominent. At night, Wu Shuhan slept. In his dreams, he dreamed of himself self-combusting and burning to death. Jingxing tried to sleep, but he didn't dream of self-combustion. Instead, he dreamed of boundless darkness. This was the feedback from daydreaming too much. It had nothing to do with the source of the self-combustion. In the past, it would be the best news if there was no relationship. But right now, Jingxing wasn't in the least bit happy. The danger was getting closer and closer, but no one knew what it was. Things were developing as he had expected. Not only did it not get better, it was getting worse. The next day, the number of cases exceeded 2,000 online, but the actual number was more than 6,000. Another tenfold increase. This time, everyone in the dozens of cities of the 4 prefectures, Changyang, Baiyin, Dashun, and Qianyan panicked. Those with connections and money all escaped to other prefectures. This was because none of the other dozen or so prefectures in the Unation had seen any self-combustion cases. More than 6,000 self-combustion cases were concentrated in the 4 prefectures. How could the people of the 4 prefectures not be afraid? Even Jingxing wanted to escape, let alone ordinary people. However, that night, Jingxing flew on his sword to the southernmost area on his sword and tried to sense the danger. He similarly sensed a terrifying danger approaching. This meant that there was an invisible danger, and the strange self-combustion wouldn't always be limited to the 4 prefectures Changyang, Baiyin, Qianyan, and Dashun. It would spread to other prefectures. Escaping to other prefectures was useless. It was only a matter of time. Jingxing didn't know if anyone else had discovered this, but he felt his scalp tingle. The strange self-combustion that affected the entire Unation was now a natural disaster, even if it wasn't at first. That night, a video conference with many people of even higher level was secretly held. Through his blood doppelganger, Jingxing listened to the voices of the other prefecture chiefs of the Unation's 18 prefectures and the big shots in the cabinet. Within a day, there were more than 6,000 self-combustion cases. The cabinet could not help but feel nervous. Everyone, to this day, I believe everyone is aware of the number of people who have died in the self-combustion cases. But what I want to say is, according to the latest intelligence, the first case of self-combustion was not the cheating husband from the Baiyin prefecture, but the self-combusting corpse in the Qianyan prefecture. That's right. Everyone, you didn't hear wrongly. The first case of self-combustion this time was in the crematorium at the foot of the Eastern District's mountain in the Qianyan prefecture's Fog City. A corpse that was placed in the morgue suddenly self-combusted. After that, the crematorium concealed the matter because it was afraid of causing trouble. The family members didn't know, and neither did the city guard of Fog City. Therefore, self-combustion was not targeted at living people at the very beginning, but corpses. Although these corpses had died because they were too agitated and they only self-combusted after that, there are still doubts. Why did it start with corpses? There was a moment of silence. I have something to say about this. Could the source of the self-combustion be related to corpses? General Yang, are you talking about the corpse-raising devil insect? Not the corpse-raising devil insect, but the extraterrestrial devil insect. Could the self-immolation case be caused by a new kind of extraterrestrial devil insect? Some extraterrestrial devil insects don't have physical bodies and are purely energy bodies. We can't see them with the naked eye. If these extraterrestrial devil insects cause trouble and burrow into the human body and then ignite them through intense emotional fluctuations, wouldn't that cause strange self-combustion? That makes sense. Once self-combustion begins, people are reduced to ashes in less than 10 seconds. There won't even be time to examine them. If this is really the doing of the extraterrestrial devil insect, and the insect is also burnt to ashes, we really won't know about it. Is there such an extraterrestrial devil insect? If there is, it should have appeared long ago. Why are there no records from before? No one knows how many types of extraterrestrial devil insects there are to begin with. Who knows how many types there are? Agreed. The source of the self-combustion cases is most likely caused by the extraterrestrial devil insect. Once we find this extraterrestrial devil insect, we should be able to crack this and prevent the self-combustion from continuing. The problem is, how would we find it? There are so many people. Who will self-destruct? Who won't? No one knows. We can't possibly scan everyone with martial art true intent, right? Then what do you suggest we do? I think. Everyone. A deep voice suddenly sounded, suppressing the others. Everyone, stop talking about the extraterrestrial devil insect. The self-combustion cases have nothing to do with it. What clues do you have, Prime Minister Pei? It has nothing to do with the extraterrestrial devil insect. Are you sure? I'm sure. It has only been about 80 years since the extraterrestrial devil insect descended on Earth star, and similar cases of self-combustion have already happened more than 1,000 years ago. What? More than 1,000 years ago? Prime Minister Pei, where did you find the relevant information? Can you confirm it? If it's fake, it can't be evidence. Everyone, keep quiet first. Let Prime Minister Pei speak first. More than 10 voices sounded without end. In the end, one person stopped them, signaling Prime Minister Pei to continue. More than 1,000 years ago, in the southern part of the Western continent, there was a dynasty called Divine Wind. This dynasty had been established for more than 800 years, and its territory was twice the size of the Yu nation. There were many experts and powerhouses in the country. Although the population couldn't be compared to the current one, at that time, the Divine Wind nation was one of the 3 hegemons of the Western continent. However, in the year 876 of the Divine Wind calendar, a strange self-combustion case first took place in a small city. Slowly, the cases spread to a prefecture, 3 prefectures, half the nation. Finally, in all the major cities of the Divine Wind nation, there were people who strangely self-combusted. The cause of self-combustion was different from what we are experiencing this time. It was not overly intense emotions, but fear. Hold on, let me interrupt for a moment. In our self-combustion cases, there were also people who were too scared and ended up burning to death. I know. Prime Minister Pei's voice continued. The cause of our self-combustion this time is intense fluctuations of emotions, including everything. Fear, anger, sorrow, excitement, and so on will all cause self-combustion. However, the strange self-combustion in the Divine Wind Nation was different. According to the records of other dynasties in later generations, the citizens of the Divine Wind Nation had self-combusted due to fear. The more fearful they were, the stronger the flames, and the faster they burned. As a result, as more people died due to self-combustion, the more fearful others became. And the more fearful they were, the more they would strangely self-combust and eventually burn into ashes. Be it martial artists or ordinary humans, as long as they feel fear, they will fall for it. There was no exception. It's different for us this time. Ordinary people and low-level martial artists are unable to resist, but those in the top ranks who have condensed martial art true intent need not fear. Su Jingxing's heart skipped a beat upon hearing this. Martial artists in the top ranks need not fear. Because of martial art true intent. Martial art true intent can resist the invasion of the source of the strange self-combustion. Prime Minister Pei, are you saying that martial art true intent can make one immune to self-combustion? Asked someone in good time on the video call. To be precise, martial art true intent can sense danger. After martial art true intent is activated, it can block the invasion of the invisible danger, Prime Minister Pei replied in a low voice. This sort of blocking depends on martial art true intent and our consciousness. The stronger the mind of a martial artist in the top ranks, the easier it will be to block. In fact, according to our predictions, martial artists in the top ranks with powerful soul power can activate their martial art true intent and possibly find the source of self-combustion. So, we are different from the Divine Wind Nation, someone asked. That's right. The strange self-combustions that the Divine Wind Nation encountered were impossible to resist, and the mental and soul power of a first-grade expert was useless. No matter where they went, they would ultimately self-combust as fear intensified. The massive Divine Wind Nation that had existed for more than 800 years was eventually destroyed. We are different. Martial artists in the top ranks can sense danger through their soul power and martial art true intent. As long as we are fast and find the source of the self-combustion before it spreads across the country, we can stop this catastrophe. Catastrophe, this was directly categorized as a catastrophe. The Divine Wind Nation from more than 1,000 years ago perished due to strange self-combustions. Now that a similar situation had appeared in a U-nation, if they couldn't deal with the source, they probably wouldn't be able to escape the fate of perishing as a nation as well. When Su Jingxing heard this, although he was mentally prepared, he still fell into a daze. Perish? At the very end, the self-combustion could lead to the destruction of the U-nation. This was not what Su Jingxing wanted. With the U-nation destroyed and all its citizens self-combusting and dying, Su Jingxing wouldn't be able to escape either. Prime Minister Pei had said that the Divine Wind Nation was completely wiped out in the end. No matter where one went, it was unavoidable. Such a disastrous way of destroying a nation was simply inconceivable. Su Jingxing knew that martial artists in the top ranks could sense danger. After all, the stronger one's soul power, the stronger their sense of danger would be compared to those in the lower and middle ranks. But it was unknown if martial art true intent could resist the danger. Su Jingxing had sensed danger before, but he avoided it before it reached him. This made Su Jingxing have to wait slowly even if he wanted to try. So, what you mean is to mobilize all the martial artists in the top ranks of the nation to head to the 4 prefectures to sense for the source of the danger. A voice sounded. That's right. Prime Minister Pei continued. Fewer people can be sent to Changyang, Baiyin, and Dashun and more to Qianyan. I suspect that the source of the danger is still in the Qianyan prefecture. Where it first started. What proof do you have? If the source is still in Qianyan, then the other 3 prefectures should be seeing fewer self-combustion cases. But the truth is that Changyang, Baiyin, and Dashun have more people self-combusting. There are more, but since the very first case of self-combustion was in Qianyan Prefecture, the probability that the source is there is higher. Alright, I agree. I agree too. A wave of people voicing their support took place. Finally, Prime Minister Pei made the decision to confirm the order to send top-ranked experts to the 4 prefectures: Changyang, Baiyin, Dashun, Qianyan. The order was to be executed immediately. The video conference ended there. Su Jingxing controlled his blood doppelganger and was about to leave when he suddenly heard an old voice. "Lin Zhou, you can come back now. Go back. I can't stay in Qinghe any longer. If I do, will I die?" Li Linzhou replied calmly. "Yes." The old man's voice was low. Prime Minister Pei was not joking. The Divine Wind Nation was wiped out in the end. The truth was that all its citizens burned to death. And then? Will our nation follow in the footsteps of the Divine Wind Nation? Li Linzhou responded calmly. "If that's the case, what's the point of me returning to the capital? Since I'm going to die anyway, I might as well stay in Qinghe. It's quieter here. It'll make a pretty good burial ground." "Do you want to die?" growled the old man. "If you do, why would you live till now?" "That has nothing to do with you," Li Linzhou replied stiffly. "Humph." The old man snorted coldly. "I'm not going to waste my breath on you. Hurry, immediately, back to the capital." With that, there was silence. He disconnected. Su Jingxing had a strange look on his face. The owner of this aged voice was most likely Li Linzhou's master, a first-grade expert, a cabinet member, and the head supervisor of the Martial Suppression Office. From the conversation, the relationship between the two sounded very complicated. At any other time, Su Jingxing wouldn't mind getting some nice gossip. But now that danger was approaching, he had no time to bother about anything else. The blood doppelganger first left the Martial Suppression Office building and rushed back to the small courtyard at the foot of the mountain. Martial art true intent could sense danger. Su Jingxing decided to give it a try. It would be best if he could find the source of the danger. When fully invested in martial art true intent, it was best to have a protector guarding one. The blood doppelganger was the best protector. He waited for the blood doppelganger to arrive at the small courtyard at the foot of the mountain. Su Jingxing's main body decisively sat cross-legged and did not move. Then, his martial art true intent manifested. He slowly floated up and sensed his surroundings, the sky, and the ground. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Almost 10 minutes later, Su Jingxing sensed it. It wasn't a sense of danger. Instead, there were 13 of them. Or rather, 13 sharp objects that looked like sharp knives were floating in the air. The distant ones were on the mountains, and the closer ones were above the river. Su Jingxing couldn't sense the specific shapes of these sharp objects. He only knew that they existed. Su Jingxing even sensed many similar sharp objects further away. They were the source of the terrifying danger. There are many sources. Realizing this, Su Jingxing was shocked. There are many sources. Of course, they might all be the same, only there are more of them. One source invades one person. In that case, wouldn't that mean? Pack. A crisp sound suddenly came from his sea of consciousness. Su Jingxing's martial art true intent immediately returned to his physical body. His blood doppelganger released its aura and remained vigilant of the surroundings. However, in the next second, Su Jingxing's expression turned strange. He was a little excited and stunned. This was because a tremendous change was happening in his sea of consciousness. His sea of consciousness was originally as calm as a spring. However, at that moment, the spring water was boiling. It was jumping and churning non-stop. A brand new Su Jingxing emerged from the spring. From top to bottom, his head, shoulders, chest, and finally his limbs were all exposed. The moment it manifested, his martial art true intent suddenly appeared in his sea of consciousness and entered the chest of the new Su Jingxing. The moment it entered, Su Jingxing knew what this brand new self was. Essence Soul. After unlocking the Divine Defense card, the mysterious existence that had been nourished by soul power for a month had finally hatched. Swish. It looked exactly like Su Jingxing, but the essence soul condensed from multiple powers had separated from his sea of consciousness and materialized in reality. Su Jingxing's main body continued to sit cross-legged. The blood doppelganger beside him waited quietly. After the brand new essence soul appeared, the blood doppelganger took a closer look. It resembled both a physical body and a spiritual energy soul. It reached out and pinched it. It could be touched, but with a thought from Su Jingxing, the essence soul immediately turned illusory and could not be touched. In other words, Su Jingxing could determine its forms at will. As for the ability of the essence soul, Su Jingxing looked up at a red dot above the river. The source of the terrifying danger. That's right, the essence soul could see the source of the danger. His martial art true intent could only sense the general location. However, the essence soul could see it directly. Moreover, this field of vision could be directly zoomed in with Su Jingxing's will. It was fat, like a stomach. At the top was a sharp head with long spikes. There were also a pair of small wings on both sides. The translucent wings did not flap, but they could help it to fly in the air. Circles of flames surrounded it, making it look like a speck of light. Is this the source of the danger? A strange life form? A body the size of a mosquito? Su Jingxing's essence soul stared at the other party in shock. The pair of tiny eyes on the strange lifeform's head suddenly turned around and looked at Su Jingxing's essence soul. Then, swish! With a sudden sprint, the strange life form fled at lightning speed. It escaped. Yes, it had escaped. Su Jingxing was puzzled, but his thoughts did not pause. He decisively controlled the essence soul to chase after it. Su Jingxing was shocked to discover that the essence soul moved too fast. No, it couldn't be described with speed. Rather, it had directly shuttled through. The essence soul covered a distance of hundreds of meters in a single step. The entire process was like passing through a spatial door to reach its destination. Such a movement method was simply unimaginable. If he hadn't experienced it himself, Su Jingxing would never have imagined it. However, at this moment, the essence soul had gone straight ahead and was still continuing. The strange life form fled. Su Jingxing caught up. The moment he did, his heart stirred. He condensed the heaven origin saber and gently slashed at the strange life form. There was no sound, no strange sound. It was like an eraser, wiping away the chalk without leaving any traces. The strange life form was easily wiped out by the heaven origin saber. So cool. Su Jingxing was stunned. Was his essence soul too strong, or was the strange life form too weak? In the essence soul's vision, the 13 strange life forms were all identical. Now that he had killed one, the other 12 ran even faster. Su Jingxing didn't give chase. Instead, he turned around and looked towards Qinghe City. In the essence soul's vision, there were about 100 red dots floating in the sky above Qinghe City. They were the strange life forms. These strange creatures were all the same. They floated in the air and did not cause any abnormalities. Not even a breeze. That's right, the essence soul could not sense wind. Wind could not affect the essence soul either. The strange lifeforms seemed to be unaffected as well. The entire world in the essence soul's vision was light blue. He didn't know if it was because of the night or it was always like this. At this moment, Su Jingxing couldn't be bothered to think. Instead, he stared at the sky above Qinghe City. Then, through the air, he continued to look at the distant horizon. Especially the north. His field of vision kept expanding. He zoomed, and zoomed. Finally, Su Jingxing's essence soul saw a hole in the distant horizon in the north. There was a hole in the sky. This hole was directly connected to the void. However, the strange thing was that not a single spatial storm or other energy aura leaked out. It was like a hole had appeared on a calm mirror plane. And those strange lifeforms were constantly coming to the real world through this hole. He had found the source of the terrifying danger. Group after group of strange lifeforms arrived in unison through a basin-sized hole in the northern horizon. After they arrived, they split up and flew towards the cities of Qianyan Prefecture, Dahan Prefecture, Baiyin Prefecture, and Chanyang Prefecture. Swish! With a single step, Su Jingxing's essence soul covered several kilometers. It took another step and left Chanyang Prefecture. With a thought, he tried to get the essence soul to fly in the air. Whoosh! The essence soul floated up. He did not feel any gravity or air resistance. The essence soul floated in the air, covering several kilometers per step. After passing through the Baiyin Prefecture, it arrived at the Qianyan Prefecture and came to the hole in the void. It watched as groups of strange little lifeforms passed through the hole and descended into reality. However, at a certain moment, the essence soul saw that on the other end of the hole, a strange lifeform suddenly approached the hole and stretched out its snake-like neck. It passed through the hole and looked down at Su Jingxing. As their gazes met, the neck of the strange life snake shrank. Its head and neck pulled back into the hole, and its entire body quickly retreated. Escaping. Just like the strange little lifeforms, this weird lifeform also chose to escape immediately after discovering Su Jingxing. However, as soon as it ran, strings of strange little lifeforms that passed through the hole and arrived in the real world immediately stopped flowing in. With this scene, how could Su Jingxing's essence soul still not understand this situation? The cause, the true source of people self-combusting once their emotions fluctuated violently, was most likely this strange life form. Were all those strange little life forms brought about by this weird life form? Or released by it? At this thought, Su Jingxing's essence soul condensed the heaven origin saber and quickly slashed out 3 times. The attacks passed through the hole and probed for possible traps while chasing after the weird life form. Then, the essence soul shuttled and passed through the hole. Su Jingxing had seen the other side of the hole before. It wasn't another world, but more like an independent space. Therefore, Su Jingxing wasn't afraid and quickly moved in. The moment the essence soul passed through the hole, it was as if it had passed through a thin membrane and arrived in a strange space. There were no sun, moon, or stars above this space. There was only an endless void. The higher one went, the darker it became. It was the same everywhere, darkness and darkness. However, the ground beneath its feet was extremely transparent like a glass pathway. Through the glass membrane, Su Jingxing's essence soul saw a map. The Nation's mountains and rivers, the map of the 18 prefectures. A geography of the 18 prefectures that was several times smaller. All the details could be clearly seen. It would be a lie to say that Su Jingxing's essence soul wasn't surprised to see this map. However, the strange life form that was escaping had yet to be dealt with. Without taking a second look, he suppressed the shock in his heart and quickly condensed the heaven origin saber. Chasing after the strange life form that had run a distance away, it shot out. The heaven origin saber was used as a throwing dagger to block its way. The effect was not bad. With a slash of the saber, it struck the strange life form. This weird creature, which looked 70% like an ostrich, had a drainage pipe organ on both sides. From time to time, strange little lifeforms would be sprayed out. The case was solved. The strange little lifeforms that invaded the 4 prefectures of the Nation and caused people to self-combust were released by this weird creature that resembled an ostrich. The spot that was struck by the heaven origin saber was the ostrich creature's butt. The ostrich creature let out a strange scream. Its voice was ear-piercing and extremely penetrative, targeting the soul. Su Jingxing's essence soul shook. Sensing danger, he decisively condensed a second and third saber slash. The target was the ostrich's neck and head. Releasing it from a distance, it quickly shuttled through the air. Just as the second strike was about to hit, the ostrich's neck shook and it dodged. The third strike was slightly better. It brushed past its head and disappeared into the darkness in the distance. This brush brought away the ostrich's scalp, causing it to scream even louder. Su Jingxing's essence soul trembled even more violently. He forcefully endured it and quickly condensed the fourth and fifth saber moves. This time, the fourth strike struck the neck, and the fifth strike missed. The heaven origin saber passed through the creature's neck and quickly cut off a small part of it. The ostrich creature's head and body successfully separated and fell to the ground that looked like a glass membrane. The scream stopped, and its body trembled. Su Jingxing's essence soul no longer shook. It increased its speed and chased after it. It arrived beside the ostrich creature and looked down at this strange life form. Its head and body were separated, but the ostrich creature was not dead. Its pitch-black eyes were fixed on Su Jingxing. "There's no need to look at me. It's useless." Su Jingxing's essence soul condensed the heaven origin saber and stabbed at the head of the ostrich creature. Pooh! The ostrich creature's head turned into a cloud of mist and disappeared. Its trembling body slowly turned into a pale purple light orb. It was the size of an egg and floated in midair. Looking at the light orb, his essence soul subconsciously sucked in a breath. "I want to eat it." This light orb could be eaten, and there were benefits to doing so. The subconsciousness of the essence soul surprised Su Jingxing. He looked at the strange little lifeforms that had scattered. After the ostrich creature's head dissipated, they also turned into sparks and disappeared. After pondering for a moment, he decided to give it a try. He wrapped his soul power around the pale purple light orb and slowly approached. Swish! Swish! There was no need to open his mouth to swallow it. When the pale purple light orb was half an inch away from the essence soul body automatically released a absorption force, controlling the pale purple light orb and quickly absorbing it. As if it was absorbing water, large amounts of mysterious power entered the essence soul's body to replenish its exhaustion from before and increase its soul power greatly. Before long, the pale purple light orb was completely absorbed and destroyed. Su Jingxing's essence soul body had received sufficient replenishment and was even stronger than before. Su Jingxing was still figuring out what the essence soul's ability was. Whether it was powerful or not was also being tested. But overall, it was still related to soul power. The stronger the soul power, the more agile the essence soul was. As for the exact details, he had to slowly get used to them. At this moment, Su Jingxing controlled the essence soul body to walk slowly in this magical space. Above its head was the void, surrounded by darkness, and beneath its feet was the light blue U-nation. The location of each of the 18 prefectures of the U-nation, which had shrunk several times, was clearly displayed. Miraculously, whichever prefecture Su Jing moved to, the area where the residence was located became lit up. It was like an automatic light that would turn on when someone appeared. When the person leaves, it goes out. It traveled west, going past one prefecture and another. Soon, it arrived at the westernmost Lori prefecture. Further ahead was darkness. Unlike literal darkness, he could see a thing or two occasionally. The outermost periphery of the Lori prefecture was originally where the boundless mountain range was located. The corresponding area was a sheet of darkness without any light. Completely dark. Su Jingxing stood at the edge and looked at the darkness ahead. Suddenly, he felt an indescribable fear. It was fear that came from his soul. It was as if there was a great terror hidden in the darkness ahead. Whereby once the essence soul stepped in, it would be shattered. I can't go in. Su Jingxing's heart raced, and the essence soul body shuddered. Next moment, Su Jingxing decisively retreated and headed north in the direction he came from. He found the hole that the essence soul had came through. The essence soul body descended through the hole and passed through the glass membrane to return to the actual world. It subconsciously swept its gaze around and checked the strange little lifeforms that had scattered everywhere. As expected, they were all gone. With the death of the ostrich creature, these strange little life forms released by the it also dissipated completely. Without the strange little life forms, no one would self-combust due to anger, fear, and grief anymore. The catastrophe that affected the entire country was thus eliminated. Although no one knew, Su Jingxing heaved a sigh of relief. The essence soul looked up at the hole that was still there. As it watched, it suddenly had a thought and reached out to touch the ground of the glass membrane. As expected, even without passing through the hole, the essence soul's hand could still pass through the glass membrane and enter the mysterious space above. However, Su Jingxing keenly sensed that it consumed soul power to pass through the glass membrane. In other words, there was a price to pay for such penetration. Without enough soul power, the essence soul similarly could not pass through the glass membrane and ascend into the mysterious space above. The essence soul carefully sensed the mysterious glass membrane and realized that it could be repaired. The hole could be patched up by expending soul power. After some thought, Su Jingxing controlled the essence soul body and placed both hands on the sides of the hole. He released his soul power and pulled the sides towards the center like he was pulling rubber. Unexpectedly, he really managed to extend the sides. Moreover, they grew longer and closer. Finally, the entire hole came together perfectly and the hole was removed. Done. The ostrich creature had made use of this hole to release the strange little lifeforms and enter the Unation. Now that the hole was gone, even if another ostrich creature appeared, it would not be easy to invade the Unation. Speaking of which, where did that ostrich creature come from? The dark area outside the borders. Also, why is the mysterious space above only reflecting the Unation's territory? Or does every country have such a magical space? What's the meaning of the existence of a magical space? When did it first appear? Has it existed since ancient times, or was it created by some big shot? Questions. Recalling this strange experience, Su Jingxing's mind was filled with questions. But no one could answer them. After expending a large amount of soul power to repair the hole, the essence soul body was somewhat exhausted. Without caring about anything else, it quickly rushed back to Qinghe City. In the capital, a luxurious minibus drove along the quiet road under the protection of a dozen cars. The sky was already brightening up. A new day was about to begin. On the brightly lit bus, there were more than 10 people of all ages and genders with varying auras, but they remained silent with varying expressions. If an outsider was present and got a clear look of their faces, he would definitely scream. The reason was simple. These men and women were none other than the Unation's cabinet members. Including the highest-ranked marshal of the military, the Martial Suppression Office's head supervisor, the Prime Minister, and the Deputy Prime Ministers. All of the cabinet members restrained their auras and sat in their seats silently. These cabinet big shots who had just had a remote video conference were gathered together in the same bus. The atmosphere was especially tense. As the sky grew brighter and brighter, a towering mountain appeared ahead. A deputy prime minister finally couldn't take it anymore. He broke the silence and said, "Everyone, what do we say later?" "What do you mean? What else can we say?" "Of course we'll ask directly. Things have already developed to this point, what's there to hide?" "No, what if that person only made a mistake? And he's doing his best to repair and clear it up now? If we ask directly, wouldn't we be denouncing him?" "It's not denouncing. We just want to know the relevant situation. After all, Unation doesn't belong to him alone. It belongs to all of us. Heh heh, you guys are really ignorant and fearless. Denouncement. It's not that I'm belittling myself, but who here has the right to question that person? Although I heard that that person has a good temper and hasn't appeared again in the past few decades, don't forget who he is. What level he stands on, and what level we stand on. There was a moment of silence. After a while, someone said with a sigh, that's right. Even if that person made a mistake, it's not something we can question. The Xia family is so arrogant, stirring up trouble everywhere and disregarding human lives, but we can't do anything to the Xia family. Isn't it because we are afraid of that person's existence? Silence again. Alright, we can't rush this matter. We can only take it slow. It's not like we're really going to question him. We just want to know the truth. If that person refuses to tell us, it's no big deal for us to bow down a little. That's the only way. Suddenly, a ringtone sounded. More than one, the phones in the pockets of the dozen people in the car started ringing. The dense ringing broke the silence. While everyone was puzzled, their hearts tightened. Has the situation turned serious again? The dozen or so people hurriedly took out their phones and answered their respective calls. What happened? Say that again. Are you sure? Did you sense wrongly? It's gone now, but you're not sure if it's completely gone. Good. In the vehicle, the people held their phones and had different reactions. After hanging up, the Prime Minister was the first to speak. Pass down the order, there's no need to go over. Tell the convoy to turn around and return to the city. Yes. An expressionless middle-aged man in the front passenger seat responded in a deep voice. He picked up the walkie-talkie and informed the convoy to turn around. The others heaved a sigh of relief and returned to their normal states. Some were even overjoyed. I knew it. With that person around, how could it be so easy for us to perish? That's not what you said earlier. Didn't you want to question him? Gone. All the dangers in the 4 prefectures have disappeared. If I'm not wrong, the source of this self-combustion case has been resolved by that person. Although many people died, fortunately, it was resolved quickly and did not cause a huge disaster. The Xia family is going to be arrogant again. Alright, as long as the Xia family doesn't go overboard, just endure it. They're not overboard. In the past few years, what has the Xia family not done overboard? The Xia family is indeed getting more and more arrogant. But, we should still endure it for now. You guys sure are patient, but I'm about to lose it. If you can't help it, what can you do? Annihilate the Xia family and lure that person to come and kill us all? Humph. Silence returned to the vehicle. The good mood immediately vanished. All of them recovered their indifferent expressions. Qinghe City. In the small courtyard at the foot of the mountain. Su Jingxing's essence soul descended from the sky and enjoyed the first ray of sunlight that shone on him. Gentle sunlight would make one feel comfortable. Yet when it landed on the essence soul's body, it felt as if it was being pricked by a dense array of needles. That instant of pain and continuous pain made Su Jingxing hurriedly control the essence soul to return to his physical body and enter his sea of consciousness. After a while, the pain in his soul slowly disappeared. How is this possible? The essence soul can't see sunlight? Is it because I have insufficient soul power? Or is it that the essence soul is naturally unable to see the sun? Su Jingxing pondered to himself. He had to figure out everything about the essence soul himself. Compared to his own martial art true intent, the essence soul was even more special. Su Jingxing could feel that martial art true intent still needed to rely on the physical body to exist. Even in the first grade, when martial art true intent leaves the body, it could remain undissipated for thousands of years, but that was still built on the foundation of the physical body. If the physical body was destroyed and no longer existed, martial art true intent would slowly dissipate, unless a new physical body hosted it. Just like the martial art true intent of Lu Chenglong, the rising dragon Saber King, the Sisui Horn Dragon. Had it not been for the fact that Su Jingxing had inherited the Sisui Horn Dragon, when Lu Chenglong's physical body perished, the Sisui Horn Dragon definitely would not have been able to last for long. At most, it would have dissipated in a month or two. However, the essence soul was different. Su Jingxing clearly sensed that essence souls could exist independently. It did not need to rely on his physical body. Even without a physical body, the essence soul could still be preserved for a long period of time. He could not promise a few hundred years, but decades would definitely be no problem. The existence that was born from the Divine Defense card had now become Su Jingxing's biggest, strongest, and final trump card. Even if Su Jingxing's physical body was destroyed, he could still continue to live. Now, he realized that the essence soul could not manifest during the day. Wasn't that a joke? Clearly, he had to find the source of the problem and fix this loophole. Is it due to insufficient soul power, or is it because of the essence soul itself? Su Jingxing pondered and returned to the house. Indoors, the manifestation of the essence soul wasn't affected. So, the reason is sunlight. When sunlight shone on an essence soul body, it causes damage. Blocking sunlight would solve the problem. But that's only treating the symptoms, not the root cause. If I want the essence soul to be able to float around in sunlight, I will have to find the source of the problem. Right, the martial sage's manuscript. I wonder if there are any records of this in the martial sage manuscript left behind by Yu Donglu. At this thought, Su Jingxing took out the martial sage's manuscript and flipped through it carefully. However, he did not see any mention of essence soul. The majority of the manuscript was about the use of martial art true intent. How to invade other people's consciousness, protect, puppet, or attack. There was no record of essence soul, so Su Jingxing could only give up and slowly proceed subsequently. Use martial art true intent then. He temporarily put away his essence soul and placed it in his sea of consciousness. The source of the self-combustion case was resolved. The various cities in the Yu-nation, especially those in Changyang, Baiyin, Dashun, and Qianyan prefectures, were still in a state of panic and could not calm down so quickly. As a result, crime rates in major cities rose steadily. Ambitious people and conspirators took the opportunity to wreak havoc, rob. Su Jing had encountered a few when he went into town to get some necessities. Of course, he also saw people from the Martial Suppression Office and the Public Security Team patrolling the streets, pursuing and suppressing those who committed crimes. Ordinary people were fine, it was mainly martial artists. The group of martial artists who had just broken through to the 7th grade or had yet to enter the 6th grade took the opportunity to fight without any scruples. On his way back after buying his daily necessities, Su Jingxing even saw a 7th grade martial artist kidnapping women on the streets. He dragged them into a car by the street, tore off their clothes and forced himself onto them. Outside the car, a group of people were standing guard and cursing at the others. Absolutely unbridled. The Martial Suppression Office had limited manpower, and the public security team was no match for them. Su Jingxing decisively slammed his palm down from a distance and sent the guards outside flying. Then, he grabbed at the air and shattered the windscreen. He pulled the man who was ripping clothes while laughing maniacally out of the car and slammed him onto the ground. His bones broke on the spot and he kept screaming. Good. Good job, that's how he should be dealt with. He's too arrogant. He's simply a beast. Such a person should just be killed. Shoo, don't be so loud. I know this brother Nan. He's from the Li family. The Li family? Which Li family? Who else could it be? Of course it's the Qinghe's #1 Li family. F***CK. The spectators in the distance were discussing fervently. Su Jingxing frowned slightly as he listened. No wonder he's so arrogant. Grabbing women off the streets and forcing himself on them after dragging them into the car. Someone from the Li family? The Li family have always had a good reputation. But with such a person around, if they don't get rid of him, they will sooner or later provoke someone they shouldn't be provoking and bring about a catastrophe. Su Jingxing thought to himself. After taking a glance from afar and hearing that the Martial Suppression Office was rushing over, he didn't stay any longer and turned to leave. In the evening, a division of the Changyang Prefecture Army, along with its garrison, entered Qinghe City to maintain order. Furthermore, on television, on the internet, and in the newspapers, various channels were publicizing that the culprit of the self-combustion cases had been eliminated. Now that the culprit was gone, strange self-combustions would naturally cease to exist. At the beginning, everyone was skeptical. But soon, the internet was the first to receive feedback. No one suddenly self-combusted today. The day before, the dozens of cities in the 4 prefectures had seen dozens of people perishing in each city. However, there was not a single case today. Alright, we don't have to worry about sudden self-combustion anymore. This self-combustion problem came quickly and was resolved quickly. I just want to know who the culprit is. F***ck, he's too powerful. He silently got people to fall for his trap, and the range was so wide. He's simply inhumane. Could it be an evil organization? Or an enemy nation? For example, the new Chu nation secretly launched a terrorist attack against our nation. That's possible. The new Chu nation can't stand to see us doing well the most. I don't think it's the new Chu nation because they aren't that powerful. On the internet, discussions and guesses were flying everywhere. But overall, the atmosphere was very good. Now that the self-combustion crisis was resolved, everyone could resume their daily activities. Su Jingxing had no time to care about this. He had not figured out the problem with his essence soul. He was also testing out the utilization of martial art true intent. He was a little busy now. However, that night, a loud bang resounded through the air above the central district. Accompanied by the sound, waves of energy fluctuations came from the sky above the district. People are fighting. And their realms aren't low. 4th grade. Su Jingxing stopped his attempts with martial art true intent and flew into the air in his courtyard. Standing in the air, he activated his night vision and distant vision at the same time to look at the source of the energy fluctuations. In his field of vision, more than 100 figures in martial art uniforms rushed into a large manor and kept killing. As he released his perception, screams, angry roars, and cries sounded from the manor. The owner of this manor, the Li family. The Li family's manor? A faction is attacking the Li family? Su Jingxing was shocked. With a thought, he executed his secret ability and changed his face, height and aura. Then, he flew through the air. Swish! Halfway through, he took out a cloak and put it on. When he was close to the Li family's manor, he landed on the top of a building. After landing, he sensed his surroundings and discovered that many people were watching from all sides of the manor. The Iron Thread Sect, Jade Sword Sect, Sky Water Chamber of Commerce, Green Cloud Court, Zhou family, Qi family. Almost all the major factions in Qinghe City were present, watching as a group of outsiders invaded the Li family's manor and fought with the Li family's martial artists. As Su Jingxing extracted the cards, his gaze swept around and landed on a tall figure standing on the rooftop of a tall building in the Li family estate. Most of the people from the other factions were also looking at him. 3rd grade. Even though the tall figure, who was at least in the 3rd grade, did not make a move, his invisible and powerful aura still attracted everyone's attention. A 3rd grade martial artist led a team to invade the Li family. Who has the Li family offended? Su Jingxing was puzzled. Everyone. A deep voice resounded through the air. The tall figure looked down at the ground and scanned the situation in the manor. His voice, augmented by true essence, rang in the ears of Su Jingxing and the others. Everyone, this is a grudge between the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce and the Li family. I hope that everyone will not interfere recklessly to avoid unnecessary casualties. An announcement. And also a threat. However, as soon as the words, Tianlong Chamber of Commerce, were spoken, everyone from the major factions in Qinghe City fell silent at once. Regardless of whether the tall figure was telling the truth or not, they could only shut up. The Tianlong Chamber of Commerce, a major faction with top-ranked experts, was not one they could contend with. Even in Qinghe City, there wasn't. Stop! A furious roar suddenly sounded. Buzz! The air surged. An invisible pressure suddenly came from afar and descended above the Li family manor, covering everyone in it. Under this oppression, be it the people from the Li family or the people from the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce, they all stopped in their tracks, unable to make a move. Roar! A giant grey leopard leaped through the air and snarled at the tall figure. Grey Leopard King, Gu Zhanlin, are you sure you want to interfere in the affairs of Tianlong? The tall figure spoke in a low voice. His thin and long face was expressionless and his cold gaze was fixed on Gu Zhanlin, who was flying swiftly towards him. That's right, I'm interfering. Gu Zhanlin's face darkened as he swept his gaze across the sky and the ground. He looked around and shouted, this is Qinghe City, not the wilderness. I don't care if you are Tianlong or Tianxi, one, the Li family or the Chen family. If you want revenge, please go outside the city. In the city, no way. My words. Duh. On the ground, people from the Martial Suppression Office and the Prefecture Army emerged in large numbers and surrounded the Li family's manor. Heh, Commander Gu, how impressive. The tall figure chuckled. What if I insist on resolving this here? Si Wujiu. Gu Zhanlin's expression turned even colder. I'm only negotiating with you out of respect. Don't be so shameless. Don't think that just because Tianlong has connections with the capital that you can think nothing of others. Let me tell you, this is Qinghe City, Changyang Prefecture, not a place for you to be arrogant. I'm arrogant? Si Wujiu smiled. No matter how arrogant I am, I can't compare to the Li family. Commander Gu, aren't you curious about the grudge between Tianlong and the Li family? I'm not interested. Gu Zhanlin raised his hand and shouted coldly, I'm not interested in learning about the grudge between you two. Don't talk about you and you. Si Wujiu chuckled. Just as you said, Commander Gu, respect is mutual. You're not interested, but I still have to tell you why Tianlong wants to destroy the Li family. Why? On the ground, the patriarch of the Li family, Li Mingfang, shouted at the top of his voice, why do you want to annihilate us? When did the Li family offend Tianlong? Didn't you? Si Wujiu glanced at Li Mingfang and said indifferently, the Li family is much more unbridled than us. At the very least, we never dared to grab women off the streets and force ourselves onto them inside a car. Gu Zhanlin was speechless. Li Mingfang was speechless. Su Jingxing was speechless. The people from the other factions were speechless. When Si Wujiu said this, everyone was stunned, surprised, and in disbelief. Su Jingxing had a strange look on his face. He had seen what Si Wujiu was claiming with his own eyes and had even stepped in to stop him. It's indeed true. But is this really such a coincidence? The woman that the man had grabbed is from the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce. Moreover, judging from the actions of the Tianlong Chamber of Commerce of getting Si Wujiu to lead a team to take revenge, this woman is probably of high status. But does a person of high status not have bodyguards by her side? How could it be such a coincidence that she was alone and targeted? A conspiracy. Su Jingxing thought inwardly. The others had the same guess. When Li Mingfang snapped back to his senses, he growled, impossible. You're slandering the Li family. He who wants to beat his dog will easily find a stick. Slander. Si Wujio retracted his might and sneered. Bring him here. Yes. Two martial artists walked out from the darkness of the rooftop. They were holding ropes in their hands. The other ends of the ropes were tied to the hands and feet of a man with his mouth stuffed. There was also a rope tied to each of his feet that he could pull on the ground. At this moment, the man was pulled out and the cloth in his mouth was removed. Then, he was suddenly thrown out of the rooftop. His head was down, and his feet were up. Held by two ropes and hung in midair, he screamed in fear. It really is him. Su Jingxing saw from afar and raised his eyebrows. The man hanging in midair was the arrogant fellow he had stopped previously. He had grabbed him out of the car and thrown him to the ground, breaking several bones. Now that he looked again, his limbs were all broken. Who is he? Gu Zhanlin removed his suppression and asked with a frown. You'll have to ask the patriarch Li. Si Wujio glanced at Li Mingfang. I don't know. Li Mingfang looked up and growled. I don't know him at all. He's not a member of the Li family. Are you sure? Si Wujio's expression remained unchanged. Patriarch Li, do you want to ask your future patriarch if he knows him? Li Mingfang was taken aback. Gu Zhanlin's heart skipped a beat. Su Jingxing quickly shifted his gaze to a handsome young man with a grim expression. Li Juanze. The Li family's most outstanding genius in 100 years, a 21-year-old 6th-grade martial artist. He was also Li Mingfang's son, the next patriarch that everyone in the Li family thought highly of. You know him? At this moment, Li Mingfang's expression was ugly. Enduring his anger, he asked Li Juanze in a hoarse voice. He. Who the hell is he? Roared Li Mingfang. His eyes were bloodshot, and his aura was surging to the extreme. Li Juanze's body trembled. He lowered his head and gritted his teeth. He is Suer's older brother. Suer. Lu Su. Li Mingfang was stunned. Doesn't the patriarch Li know who Lu Su is? Si Wujio chuckled. Then let me tell you something. Lu Su is the classmate of this future patriarch of the Li family from elementary school to university. The girlfriend he has been in love with for 5 years, the fiancée he had already pledged to marry without the permission of their parents. How is it? Is this news surprising? Is the elder brother of the future patriarch's wife a member of the Li family? One, Long, is dragon, she, is snake.